I'm Ted Kooser, and I live about 3 miles directly east of here. Um, for many years, I would come over here and walk along this dirt road a mile up and a mile back each morning, and would pass this old house. And for a writer, it often takes a lot of exposure to something before you really feel like writing about it. And so we've lived out here, and I've known about this house for nearly 30 years, and only a year ago did I ever get around to writing something about it. I did write a poem about the fact that with these old structures, people plow around them as close as they can, and saplings then grow up around them and begin to hold the structure together. And that poem was published someplace, I can't remember when or where for that matter. This current book, this children's book called House Held Up by Trees, was based on this house, but the story has nothing to do with the story behind this house, whatever this house might have had for a story. But I like the idea of nature taking over and completely taking command of an old human structure like this. Nature wins out in the long run, and that's what happens in that little book as well. The man who owns the house struggles with trying to keep the lawn pristine and everything, and then eventually he has to abandon the house, his children abandon the house, and nature gets it back. Nature's been working at it all the time, just as it is here, trying to get this property back. And eventually, if the owners of this property burn this house down, nature can have it all, probably. But although my guess is that it would turn into plowed ground like so many of these other old farmhouses around here. I've been interested in old abandoned houses ever since I was in high school. There's a poem that we used to have in all the high school anthologies, I don't know whether it's still there or not, by Walter D. LaMare, called The Listeners, and it's about a man who rides up to on a horse, rides up to an old house at night and knocks on the door, and no one answers. And the impression you get from the poem is that there is a sort of living presence behind the closed door, and whether it's ghosts or someone there or something. And then the writer gets on his horse, and before he thunders off into the night, he shouts back at the house, "Tell them I came." In other words, he's revisiting this place after many years and so on. And that poem haunted me for years and years, and I've written all kinds of things about empty houses and over the years, including an old house up in the Sandhills that I found that had, on the inside of one of the door frames, had pencil marks where they had marked the heights of the children as they grew up and that sort of thing. It's a marvelous old structure. At the time this was built, people had big families because they needed a lot of help on their farms, and there were lots of big houses like this, and unfortunately so many of them are gone now. But you can feel the presence here of there having been some life at some time.